Coming at you live from responsible distances apart, this is the Blue Heaven Podcast. Now with soundboard again. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? We are powered by the Overtime Podcast Network. It's your boy. My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on the tweeters and the Instagrams, and that guy's over there. And I'm seeing no sound. Janae says no sound already.
Already? There's no sound.
It's a good start.
That's awesome.
Let us know if there's sound in the comments in the sound.
Is there sound now?
I don't
Whenever
know.
there's sound, let us know.
If there's sound,
If the sound is back. We're good.
Sound is back? Okay. Should I do the intro again? I feel like I need to
over. People
I'm going to do the intro again. All right, Gary, count us in.
Okay, ready. 5, 4, okay.
Hey, coming at you live from responsible distances apart. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. Whatever we want to call that. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on the tweeters and the Instagrams. I'm going to do that just about the same way every time.
Yeah, that's really good. You keep changing up the whatever you call the Twitter, though. Sometimes it's tweeters. Sometimes it's the Twitterverse. I don't know. What's up, guys? My name is Brooke. You can find me at BrookeMe3 on Twitter and Instagram. On today's show, well, what did we do this week, Clint? We talked to a big leaguer, former big leaguer.
Yeah. Hold on, wait.
This week.
My soundboard's further.
There you go. We talked to Sportsnet analyst Jerry Hairston Jr., former Dodger player himself, on what he's doing to keep up with the quarantine and keep up with players in the middle of all this, and his thoughts on the what do you call that? Biodome still calling that Biodome, right?
It's pretty much a biodome.
I'm pretty sure
we're stuck in that one.
Phrase.
Yeah, if we're one state. If it's in one state, the Arizona idea is biodome. I don't know what happens if they decide to go to Japan. I don't know what happens if they decide to also split it into Florida, but we'll figure that out today on the show, where we have actually a few big leaguers. I think we're going to get some words from here. Also, today it was announced that apparently there's going to be biohazard testing in MLB, so we have Umbrella Corporation taking over. Welcome to Raccoon City, IRL. It's a nice, we're doing a giveaway. Giveaway is active now. If you go onto our website, DodgersNation.com/giveaways, check it out, but we'll give you more information on that in a little bit. Introducing a new segment that we've talked about for quite some time. Brooke, I know you're excited about reading some reviews.
I'm so excited about that. I'm pretty sure my favorite one was deleted, though, so I'm really disappointed in that. There's one that's like, these guys suck, listen to them. I was like, what?
Those ones are always quality. Before we get into the show, we do got to remind you guys that this is a live stream. I'm stealing your thunder right now. That's what I'm going to do. But we also have to give a shout out to our friends over at Sportscaster, where you could be the star of your own show. You could game like, a lot of players. Gavin Lux is gaming now. I think he lost or something like that. But they're doing all of this stuff, all of these tremendous things on gaming. You could do that on Sportscaster. So check that out at sportscaster.com. That is sportscastr.com, but do check that out after our stream. We also want to give a shout out to our friends at Elgato. They've actually been behind the scenes for us for quite some time. Elgato is they help out a lot with products for streaming services and all that. So like most of Gary's rig over there at South Pass right now is really driven and powered by Elgato. So we thank them for helping us out. But yeah, let's I guess pull some comments. Let's see what's going on in the lovely world of our people.
Guys, don't forget, like Clint said, and he stole my thunder on this. This is a live show, so make sure you're dropping into the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know where you're repping Dodgers Nation tonight. Jumping into the comments a little bit. Leslie Taylor over on Facebook says, "Hi guys, happy Tuesday." Happy Tuesday, Leslie.
And Leslie loves the mustache.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't hate it at this point. It's just too far in. Alfredo said, that's how I've been spending my time. He said, what Brooke did this week. He grew his mustache further. It's a slow play, Alfredo. It's a slow play.
We're super proud of you for the effort you've put into just sitting there and letting nature do its thing.
It's real difficult, I've been working real hard on it, but we're getting progress on it. Katie says, y'all are the only constant thing in my life these days other than sleeping until 10 a.m. every day. I feel that on a spiritual level.
I don't sleep until 10.
You don't sleep in? I don't sleep until 10 for sure.
I sleep until like 8 because I have to get up at
I get up at 8.
Do things. You know how he is.
Yeah. Sorry.
Steve Romero says the boys in blue. I thought you were going to stop wearing blue.
I did, but then Baseballism, I got this sweet Vin shirt from Baseballism, so I couldn't not wear it. Yeah.
Thanks, kids. Friend of the
That's
show.
all I have to say about that.
That's all I'm say about that. But you look stunning.
Thank you.
But Steve, we do miss our boys in blue. Hopefully, we get them back soon. Ricky Bobby Trujillo is watching from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Canadian.
Isn't that what that is?
Yeah.
British Columbia, right? That's not before Christ.
Different.
Anyways. All right, guys. Let's dig into. We got a lot today. Gary is going to be working the buttons hard. That's what she said. But it keeps getting weirder, So, first off, I do gotta shout out and appreciate people like Jeff Passan and any of these people that are getting the scoops, Kenny Rosenthal and all that, because they seem to be waiting to drop their hot news on Monday, so we have shit to talk about today.
That's really nice of them. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for doing doing the Tommy Lasorda's work, but the plans for the Arizona Biodome have continued to be a topic of conversation this week, and when you put it all together with that news that dropped today that we're going to get into a little bit later, it's becoming more and more apparent that MLB really wants to be the first sport to return, even if they say they don't want to. I don't know, thoughts on that, Brooke?
Yeah, I feel like MLB is not really the how do I say this? What's the best way to say this? Rob Manfred has no balls. Is that a good way to say that? Is that appropriate? I don't know.
I heard there's a club for that.
Yeah, Manfred is not exactly the guy who makes big shot decisions. So I wasn't expecting baseball to be that, but it's certainly looking like they could be that. They could be the first team or the first sport to get going out of all this, which that would be surprising to me, but kind of cool.
Fantastic.
Also.
That would be incredibly fantastic because I really want some baseball. So we'll get into that. We do have multiple inputs from big leaguers today, but the ultimate thing with this Biodome thing, we talked about it a little bit last week. Gary, our resident father here, at least that we legally are aware of, players are rightfully so hesitant to leave their families behind for bare minimum months at a time. Right. So, Gary, I see your pointer on the screen, by the way. I think people are seeing you on OBS on Brooke's face.
Yeah,
it's perfect though.
It looked glorious.
Sorry.
So
I need another
Gary,
monitor.
you do have a delicious video insert here. Let's hear from Jeff Passan a little bit about this, the latest with the Biodome idea.
The hope is that this starts off as a biosphere, and eventually we get to the point in this country through testing and through antibody testing and through understanding a little better what the coronavirus exactly is, that they can move beyond this biosphere and go back to their cities. And even though they will probably be playing in empty stadiums for the rest of the year, the idea is that this would be a 2 or maybe 3 month thing as opposed to a 4 or 5 or 6 month thing that encapsulates the entire season. Now, of course, there is the possibility that it turns into that, but idealistically, they want to spend as little time as they can in Arizona.
That was a pretty good cut from Passan there.
Passan dropping and looking sharp with this fake background, by the way, but Brooke, I don't know if you saw that particular clip before today, because I know you've been doing a lot of these Biodome things, and MLB's doing that for our lovely DodgersNation.com. But Passan's kind of passing this off as it's only going to be a 2 or 3 month thing in their opinion, not the whole season isolated in Arizona. It's like, yeah, it's easy for you to say, bruh. You're not the one leaving family behind, or like in the case of Kershaw, who we're going to hear from in a minute, a toddler. It's I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where baseball seems pretty split on, depending on who you ask. Like, I think it was Alex Wood, the first guy who officially had said anything about it, was like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm down. Like, he's like, I don't have a family, though, so I don't know how people who have families feel about it. Like, he even said, like, I don't have a family, so obviously it's easy for me to say, yeah, let's go. Or, JT, who just had his wife, or anybody like that. But then you got Kershaw, who just had, his kid's like two months old now.
Yeah.
like his youngest kid. And it's like, yeah, you're just gonna miss 4 months of his life just because. And it's like, yeah, some people were upset about that, surprisingly, and you get to hear from him in a second on it as to how he could justify it. But
yeah,
it seems really split, like depending on who you ask.
Yeah, Passon also brings up foreshadows for us here later in the show, brings up that ever important antibody testing for the coronavirus. But more on that. We're going to really dig into that, maybe about 10 minutes or so, depending on how long we end up yapping here. Digging into a couple of the comments here. Alfredo says, so where's the MLB Biodome going to be built? Where do you think?
Well,
thoughts?
Somewhere where nobody is.
Scottsdale.
That's what Jay Hair said.
Yeah, that's what we learned.
Nobody lives in Scottsdale.
I mean, the way they broke down the divisions, right? Like when they reconstructed the leagues, it looks like the teams are built around locations in Arizona. So if you've been to spring training, you would understand like why the White Sox are with the Dodgers, and the Angels are a little. I think they're pretty close. So it's all broken out.
Close.
Yeah, I think if they are going to play, let's just say interleague, they're going to meet up at what's that stadium down there? South Dodger Stadium East. They're playing there.
Park?
Huh?
Yeah.
East.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I didn't make the L's with my hands. Yeah. Chassé.
Yeah, Chassé. There you go.
That's
that's probably how they're going to do it. They're not going to build a brand new stadium. Sorry.
No, of course not. Everything's going to be in. That's a tough part about Arizona, by the way. To get into that for a second, the tough part about Arizona is there's only one domed stadium. So with that split league idea you're talking about, Gary, they're doing that more where it's big games would also be played in
at Camelback,
Florida.
Oh
no, they'd be playing in Florida.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So there have been two. There have been three ideas. There was also like the Japan idea. I think baseball's going on basically full blown in Taiwan right now. But I don't think America's pastime is going out of America outside of Canada. But there's the 2-league idea, 15 teams in each, Florida and Arizona, but Florida has 2 or 3 domed stadiums, so it makes a little bit more sense there. There's the idea, there's the possibility of teams, just the free. I guess stadium wise, it would really be a free for all if they're doing the all Arizona Biodome thing. But irregardless of all this, you still got to get players buy-in. And we're going to hear from Kershaw right now. Kershaw was on Sportsnet LA, which a whole lot more of you guys can see now. So way to go. 6 years. Woo! But, if you can't get the buy-in of somebody like Clayton F. Kershaw, you're probably not going to get the buy-in from a lot of players. So let's hear what CK has to say.
Yeah, we don't have a start date, as you mentioned, although the story did come out on Monday that Major League Baseball and the Players Association, at least they're having discussions about putting all 30 teams in Arizona and having everybody kind of isolate, sometimes maybe even isolate away from their families, no fans in the stands. We're hearing stories maybe not even having players in the dugout, that you would sit in the stands at least 6 feet apart away from each other. What comes to your mind when you hear this kind of proposal, at least these kind of discussions going on?
Well, I have 2 thoughts. One is I think it's great, like you said, that we're trying to figure something out. Like, that's awesome. Continue to work together and figure it out. I will say that situation that was played out, I don't know who wrote the article or where it came from, is I just don't see that happening. Like, I'm not going to be away from my family and not see him for 4.5 months. Like, I just talked about how much Cooper changes, over 1 week. So to miss 4 months of his life right now, I'm just not going to do it. And there's a lot of other things that are just wrong with that proposal. But it's not to say that we can't go somewhere with it. It's just that there's a lot of things we're going to have to figure out before I go quarantine myself with my team for 4 months.
Right.
Okay, that was pretty good from Clayton.
Yeah, I'd say that's as firm of a no you're going to get from Kershaw, and he's somebody that's pretty open, I would say, with his disagreeing with things that he's not a fan of. But we had a comment here that pretty much Anthony on Facebook saying the boys shouldn't have to leave their family. Hate to say it, but let's just shut the 2020 season down.
Yeah.
we don't want to read that kind of negative thoughts right now, but it's if we're being fair, if we're being realistic, I think, realistically, we're going to learn a lot more over this next 2 weeks, especially with that antibody testing thing we're going to, sort of be talking about real soon. But amongst the bevy of issues that we're seeing with this and concerns with all this, and I chatted with Stripling about this earlier, and he had mentioned what did he say? The way they're doing it, it feels like it's going to lead to a crummy product on the field, and you're putting the brand, you're putting players in positions where. That's what I told him. He had asked me about it too, and I'm like, you wonder. Players are going to start getting upset. They're going to get mad at each other. Like you start to lose the clubhouse or something like that. There's just so many bad variables with this. Where as much as we want it, is it a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually surprised at the response from some fans on what Kershaw had said. There was a lot of people that were like, "What the heck, man? Like, you're supposed to be the leader." And it's like, dude, I don't even have kids, and I totally understand this. Like, I don't have kids, and there's no way, like in any sense of the form, that I would miss the first 4 months of my newborn's life to play baseball. Like, it doesn't matter if you're making $30 million a year at that point. It's like, you can make $30 million a year. He's still going to make another $30 million the next year anyways. And on top of that, he's never going to get those months back with his newborn kid. Like, how can you fault the guy for choosing his family over his job? Like, I don't think I want the guy that chooses the job over his family.
I will play a little bit like the bad guy on this a little bit. Okay.
You're a dad.
Yeah. This is his third kid, right? And my
one.
Yeah, my second child is gonna replay this video later on in her life for me. But I will say this: it's like, yeah, maybe the first child, like you don't want to miss a single moment. You want to see all those little things, and I would say month 3 was one of my favorite months of the first year. It was fun because you can finally see the personality come out, and they like stop looking like a little alien, But like. I think that's the part where if this is a third child, I can see like missing month 2 through 4 or like 4 through 6. Like it's not too bad, especially if the kid knows that you're out there making $33 million in one year. It's like
a counterpoint to that, Gary. He's still going to make $33 million next year, regardless. So
which is why I think
if you had made $30 million for the past 10 years or however long he's been making grip of money, like you'd feel fine about missing a year of baseball. You'd be like, whatever, like I'm worth $150 million right now,
right? Which
like,
is why I think
this year,
which is why I think it was kind of wrong for Sportsnet to put Kershaw in that position to answer that question. You don't you don't ask the richest guy in the clubhouse, hey, you want to miss out? Oh hell yeah, I'm still going to get paid $33 million, and I don't have to play. I'm going to save a year of my contract.
Well, that's the thing. They're not getting. Isn't that the whole thing? Is like nobody's getting their full contract if there's no season beyond May. I don't think anybody's getting paid.
There's no agreement in place
right
now.
I'm sorry.
Right now it's
that 170 million through May. Right. That's pretty much where it's at. I'm sure things are going to change, but
what I would have liked to see. And it's not my money, so it's gonna be really easy to say, right?
Not my money, not my kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a 40-man roster or however many you want to put at it, right? Why doesn't Clayton get partnered up with someone at the opposite end of the spectrum and kind of big burrow it up for the team? And so, like people like Beatty or the lower end players like Lux maybe. Or whoever doesn't have as much money, right? Like young guys, partner them up a little bit and like have the older player, the veteran, sponsor the younger player for the year because they have the money, right? And then that's just a team basis. I think there's a lot of great residual effects from that, from building good team camaraderie. It's good big brother experience. It might help out a little bit, and it's just maybe. I don't know. It's just that I think I just hate the part that Kershaw was put in that spot. And I see the comments just like you. And I think it's wrong that people are commenting on him. He got set up to answer. There's no right answer for him.
No,
right.
either way in that situation, he's wrong. And
Yeah.
Roach brings up a good point over on Periscope. He says, especially considering the situation that we're all in right now, you can't leave your wife to handle a newborn. The first couple months are the toughest, no sleep whatsoever. And to an extent, he's right in the sense that maybe, for a guy who makes that much money, you have help in the past and you have people, you can pay people to help you and take care of it. You can't do that right now.
No, I agree. Yeah.
You're in situations where you can't really have people coming over to help because, everyone's got to stay at home. They're all locked in. There's no work like that. It's not safe. And so it's a really specific situation where, it's just going to be his wife probably at home with the rest of the kids and on her own with a newborn. So, I agree. They definitely put him in a spot where it's like no matter what he says, like he was going to get torn apart for it, and he's paying for it.
They went the opposite end of the spectrum, though. That was Hartung's third interview in that same vein. Although I think it was the first one where that specific question about the biodome was asked. But he talked to JT about it, and JT's like we've said, the opposite end of the spectrum. JT's a guy who has no kid; he just has wife and podcast right now. So it's not something he has to worry so much about. I think Hartung also asked Stripling as well. So you're getting both vantage points from it, but somebody like Kershaw, who's such a family guy, you understand. Of course, he's going to have that answer, and it's it's his right to want to be with his family, and he knows that this game isn't the most important thing in the world for him. At best, he's got another 6 years in this game, and then it's family. So you'd hate to throw away those few months with the kid, even if the kid doesn't remember it isn't going to get anything out of it.
No, there's definitely the memories of it. I mean, like I said, month 3, 4, and 5 are freaking they're pretty damn fun to find out the personality of the kid, right? And I understand about you don't want to leave your wife to take care of that. There are sleepless nights, so Alfredo, you're right. It is special. Looking back at it, I mean, I bet in the middle of it, I would have wished I wasn't there. But but looking back at it, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was fun and everything. This is the only thing that irks me, and this is what I talked about last week. If Clayton Kershaw's a leader. If he goes back, a lot of people will fall in line and go back with him. Okay, the effects of him going back is that he's going to be able to not just put money in his pocket, but put money in pockets of people in Major League Baseball's ecosystem, right? Mm-hmm. Those people who don't have jobs right now. Even we're going down to people who are just custodians or janitors who have to clean up after these damn players at the minor league. I mean, think about those people. I think if Clayton, you asked me, Gary, would you do it? I have an 8 and 5-year-old right now, right? Would you go and skip 4 months right now, knowing all of this? I think I would. I mean, and that's just me. I would skip 4. I would go out for 4 months, earn the family a little paycheck, and and know that what I'm doing is helping put a small paycheck in a lot of people that I'll never meet. You got to think about those kind of things before you just answer, "Oh, I wouldn't do it." Your action will not affect thousands of people.
I would also argue though that him not playing and him choosing to not play would not have an adverse effect on the younger guys, because the young guys need to make money. They have to go out. They have to.
They would thank him for the opportunity. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things.
We get a chance now. There's a roster spot that's open. Thank you so much. That we don't have to spend $35 million on you this year. Thank you so much for that opportunity. Great. Yeah. Now I get to play.
I have 2 responses to
both
this.
Sides.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 responses to this. One, that's something that Jerry Hairston mentions. We're going to get to some of his clips in a minute. Anybody wants to watch that whole interview, go check it out. YouTube.com/DodgersNationTV. We got a whole ass interview with Jerry Hairston. Fantastic interview. I mean, I was legitimately cracking up at some of the stuff this guy's saying. He's got a podcast coming out too, so make sure to check out Jay Hair. But back in the olden times, even before Gary's day, granted, it wasn't the same kind of money, but in the war times, you got people. Ted Williams was sent to frickin' war, and they brought up these weird ass random 17-year-old kids and whatever. Baseball now, if there are players if it's 10% of players that are saying no for sure, or even 30%, should that rank the other 70% that want to play and that kind of need to play to survive.
I think from the eyes of baseball, though, if you have 30% of established veterans that don't want to play this year, I don't think that makes a difference. I think you still push on and play. Like I think Major League Baseball is going to make a lot more money off of it, even without those. Maybe you don't have the stars necessarily that you want in the game, but people are still going to watch. There's still going to be television deals that come from it. There's still going to be advertising deals that still come from it. And on top of that, you don't have to pay those stars anymore. So I mean, you look at it.
It might be a win-win.
It might actually be good for the owners. Like this could end up working out in the favor of the owners in the sense of like, hey, we might actually make some money and recoup some of the ticket sales that we've lost because they are losing a hell of a lot of ticket sales.
You see some of the owners send family pictures to like the highest paid players. And then like, I can't do it anymore. Yeah,
Kershaw's locker when he gets there on day one.
Let's take a few of the questions here. DJ JZ is JEYZ agrees with Gary. What if Clayton was in Lux's position at the beginning? He'd be all on that Arizona plan. Our boy SD Dodger Tim Rogers says make it optional if they don't get paid or service time. Give people that option. And you wonder with that idea, like, is it going to create that tension or dissension in the players association? The union's not going to. Tony Clark's going to have a handful, we'll say, if they play on when most of their established stars are against it. And that's another thing of it too. Like with the CBA expiring pretty soon, do you want to create this yet another potential problem for future work stoppage for something dumb like what happened in 1994?
Well, look, that stoppage is coming regardless of whether or not this happens. So don't even stress about that. There's no way that CBA is not going to have some struggles over it by the time baseball.
So we have to do this again next year.
2023.
Huh? We're going to do this again next year?
Every year for a while.
Yeah.
Randy Ritter has a question, but didn't give us the question. So, Randy, go ahead and get us that question. We are going to roll now the next clip. We did talk to Jerry Hairston Jr. this week, your SportsCenter LA professional analyst, man. And, again, he's actually good. I could dick around as much as I want here, but he's very good at what he does. So, you look at Jerry Hairston's career. He's somebody who was drafted in 97, came up in 98. Weird time for baseball. Played on a lot of teams. I would say he's about the everyman who did pretty much everything you could do in baseball. Wasn't an all-star, didn't win an MVP, but it doesn't matter. He was there. He knew them. What are some of his sort of experiences or things that he could relate to what's going on right now, and just more or less some thoughts on it. So, Gary, go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage.
Jay, we know you keep up with a lot of the players, and as a former player yourself, you probably don't have experience with something exactly like this, but maybe you can kind of relate it to injuries in the past. But what's it like as a player to get all ramped up, ready for spring training, you get that far into it, and just have the rug pulled out from you under like just suddenly no baseball?
It's difficult, and this is a lot harder for players because they're not experiencing an injury. I've been injured in the past where, okay, there's a reason why I'm not on the field is because I have a broken finger or I have a broken foot, so why you're not playing. But at the same time, you see hope because you see your teammates out there playing. So I know if I do everything right and make sure that I listen to the trainers and I listen to the doctors, I could be on the field with my teammates in 2 or 3 months. But for everything to be shut down, this is uncharted territory for these players. And, I was on the field in 2001 when 9/11 happened, meaning I was an active player. Yeah. That was a weird experience. We were under attack as a country. So we knew that there was a lot more important things going on in the world than being a baseball player. But we knew after a week or so, we knew that we would have to be back on the field because we needed to provide some type of hope and some type of normalcy for fans out there. And the fans wanted us back. Even though the country had experienced this tragic attack, fans wanted us back just to give us some sense of normalcy. So when we came back, I think it was 10 or 11 days later, I know we were in Toronto. I was with the Baltimore Orioles. We were in Toronto at the time when we played our first game. And it was a different. It was different because we knew that, man, is baseball that important? But in our minds, so you know what, it is important. We need to be out there on the field to give fans that sense of normalcy. So hopefully this generation's players understand, you know what, even though it may be different, there may not be fans in the stands. We may have to play in Arizona. We may have to play a day game against the White Sox, and then another team's going to have to play, the Indians would have to play against the Reds on a night game, maybe in Chase Field. It may be different, but as long as it's safe, I think the players understand and realize, you know what, we need to get back to normalcy, and us being on the field, as long as it's safe, I think it'll begin the steps to that.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Normalcy, I guess we can say. Baseball normalcy or living normalcy, but at what cost? And apparently the cost can be big for players that aren't in on the idea, because you're going to cost yourselves either a lot of money or a lot of time with family. And, you would think the latter is a lot more irreparable in the long term than the money side of it. But, again, great interview. I think Brooke can attest to that. It was a fun conversation with him.
Jay Hurt's a fun guy to talk to, that's for sure.
Later, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say he brings up kind of later in the interview a little bit that in terms of all the sports, when you consider the four major sports between hockey, basketball, baseball, and football, of all the sports, baseball is probably the most optimal in terms of bringing it back safely and with social distancing guidelines in place and all of those things to keep players healthy. Number one, there's not really any contact necessarily. Pretty much every other sport has pretty close contact. Like basketball players are literally up against each other the entire game.
Sweating on each other.
Yeah, and I think the coronavirus numbers can probably attest to that because it spread pretty quick in the NBA. Like a lot of people got it. And then on, football, you're constantly hitting dudes and being stuck in piles, and not necessarily that it's been a problem for football yet, but could possibly be in the future. Hockey, I don't know who watches hockey, but it's cold and people touch each other there, I guess. I don't know.
How does that coronavirus...
Baseball, how does coronavirus survive on the ice? I don't know. Maybe hockey is ideal. But, baseball, you're outdoors for the most part. You have the ability to be far apart from each other. I think, Clint, you brought it up. The only real point of contact is everybody's touching the same ball. And so that's true of all sports, I guess, though. So there are ways around that, and there are ways that can overcome that. But baseball seems set up pretty nicely compared to the other sports, I'd say. Yeah,
let's get into a few comments here. Randy asks this question. He says, does Mookie Betts re-sign for next season, or does Mookie sign a long contract with the Dodgers? We've talked a lot about Mookie over the months on this. Really, I'd say it's 50-50 on whether or not he's a Dodger in 2021, regardless of whether or not he plays any games this year.
He's going to do what everybody's doing for this coronavirus thing. He's going to do what's best for his family. And if he can pocket $400 million after this season, he's going to pocket $400 million. He's not going to get paid $30 million, risk a year, get injured, and then come to a $100 million contract if he gets injured. No, you're going to take that money when you can.
Yeah. Mike Hemme says, man, I miss baseball so much, so much. Same. We're going to go with the hard same and a bugle. Katie brings up a really good question here, or a point here, and I'll preface it. I'll set it up as a question to the both of you guys here. And she says it would honestly be so much easier for the players and the fans if they just announced that the season is canceled already. Gary, what's your take on that?
Wouldn't be good for the advertisers. Okay, that's the main thing. Like I promise you.
Yeah, but we're talking about players and fans.
Yeah,
players and fans.
I know if they canceled the season, they would basically tell the fans, hey, don't worry about us for a year. And that's going to decrease the amount of engagement that they're going to have with the fans. So therefore, the impressions or the eyeballs that their advertisers paid for this year go down the toilet, And that's basically it. I think it's just a game that you got to play.
The shitty A.
Yeah, shitty A, yeah. I would say that's the main reason. And honestly, I really think, faith is that they're really trying to figure something out They're hoping that a vaccine or a treatment can do it. Good testing can still get it through. And yeah, the hot, dry air of Arizona is the best place to play baseball during this. And that's, you got to weigh all those things, right? And then you got to say, is it good enough to play? And that's the thing that they're really still trying. And then, I really don't think anybody wants to say no and give up. I think when you cancel the season, you basically wave the white flag and you give up. And I don't think we're all built to give up. I think we at least want to try. So, take that for whatever.
That's also what
it's
Jay
worth.
Hare talked about too. What happened after 9/11, like baseball, people wanted baseball back, and one of the things he did miss, what he was talking about there is it was sort of it was America's way of saying, this isn't going to bring us down. This is going, we're going to come back. We're going to be strong or stronger or whatever it is. So, I could understand America and baseball. Well, not America, because they're not going to be the first to restart it because we were so far behind on everything. But if baseball comes back first, that's a pretty big win, and nothing bad comes out of it. But it seems like, Brooke, you had something.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about, it's the same idea. I can relate it to a lot of things, but I had the question of ticket refunds. Like, my question on Twitter was like, I haven't heard anything from the Dodgers about my ticket yet. And it's, we're going on 3 weeks past opening day now.
Breaking news. Today, I was refunded for my spring training tickets I didn't use. So maybe that's a thing
on the way.
Yeah.
But, I brought that point up on Twitter, and somebody was like, well, yeah. It's because they want to play as many games as possible, so they're not going to give you your money back until there's 100% confirmation that your game is canceled. And I was like, it's a good point. They don't want anybody to freak out and just hey, across the board, here's all the refunds. And now suddenly, if they have to play that game, they have no ticket sales to that game. Yeah. So I get that. But also in the same sense that Governor Newsom came out today, it was like, hey, we have a plan for California to get out of the stay in place, rule. It was like, the plan is we're going to get a plan, and then once we have a plan, we'll have a plan. And it was like, I was like, well, I thought he was going to give us a date. Like, what the hell's happening? And then somebody brought up a point. They're like, he's not going to give you a date because, number one, if the date is like a long way away, he knows that's not going to work, and people are going to get upset, and that's going to piss people off. So, And he's like, and he's not going to promise them a date that's too soon, or where that date comes and passes, people are going to be pissed, and people are going to start going outside. So it's in terms of baseball, it's politics. It's the same thing. You're not going to cancel games until you absolutely have to cancel games. You're not going to call off a season until you absolutely have to call off the season. And it's honestly, it's going to be a long time before they do that. I mean, we're talking like, if they were to make a decision to call off the season, I would say it probably doesn't come till like July or August at the latest, or at the earliest.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that seems likely.
What you're talking about there, kind of like the sort of baby steps or hurdles. Like, they don't want to say, hey, everybody's going to be in their homes for the next 6 months. That's something for those who didn't know. Obviously last week we had Dodgers broadcaster Joe Davis on, who let us know that, hey, their new podcast is dropping. Him and Oral Hershiser, where that podcast did drop. And well, the Bulldog got some crap online because why not? Referring to the Trump as, the president. That's all he said, which is literally his verbatim title. And, the idea of like the president's seat not wanting to get people, too far ahead of themselves. Like their Bulldog's idea is setting slow, jumpable hurdles. I'm doubting that's what they're going for, but I like the idea. Like, you can't tell everybody, hey, yeah, you're stuck inside till November or December at the earliest, because we're not.
Yeah.
We absolutely were not. We are not meant to be caged.
No, I mean, I'm pretty reasonable, and I like to follow guidelines like that, and I have no problem, working for the better of humanity and things like that. So I don't, I'm fine. Like, when they're like, hey, stay inside, I'm like, no problem. I already do that anyways. I'll just stay inside. Not a big deal. I don't have to see my friends or family. I'll just stay at home. Mm-hmm. But, if you had told me, like, hey, you have to stay inside till November, I would have been like, nah, not going to fly. We're not doing that. So yeah. I get it. I get the slow play. And I think one of the frustrations, too, is you got the governor of California saying one thing. There's no sports in California in terms of crowds, at least through summer. Like, no way. Not possible at all. Not even close to reality. And then you got the president of the United States like, I need my sports back. We got to watch them. And so it's like you got two
two officials, high-ranking officials, going and saying different things about the possibility of playing sports, and so now you get your hopes up, and then you get your hopes dashed, and then you get your hopes up, then you get your hopes dashed. So I mean,
Well,
being a sports
I usually
fan right
go
now,
with the one with the higher IQ, and then be
All
good.
right,
Be good at that.
we're gonna start getting ourselves in trouble here. Whatever way people think, we're definitely gonna get ourselves in trouble. So I'm gonna step away from that. We're gonna go into more Jay Hair, because Jay Hair actually, if I wish we could have like premeditated our conversation, because I could have lined up the video better. But there is Jay Hair did touch on something we talked about earlier in the show about some of the young players and how much the money side of it means. As I very much shift gears away from where we were at there smoothly. Shift. But Gary, you got one more video there. You're going to throw it out, from the player's perspective.
Yeah.
On
what are
whether
your
or not
thoughts? Some of your thoughts
he's seen
on
it all,
on
or how he's seen it all.
The crazy ideas, I guess
I
we'll
already
call
pressed
them,
the
that we've
button.
seen online, whether it's playing in Japan or the MLB Biodome, as we like to call it here in Arizona, or even things happening potentially in Florida with the redesigned American and National League and all that. How do you feel about that, just as a baseball fan, an analyst, a former player? Does that irk you in any way, or are you just really looking to get back at it?
I'm trying to look, guys. You're so fortunate once you get to the big leagues, and you realize once you're done playing how special that is. Mm-hmm. A guy can have a career for 2 years, 5 years, 15 years. It is so precious. So this time means a lot to these players. So I'm going to take the view of an active player. I want to play. Yeah. I want to be out there on that field, and this could be my only opportunity. Think about guys that are trying to make the team. This could be my only chance. And if I'm not on that field, then and if we don't play this year, then next year that other prospect who's behind me may get the opportunity that I was having this spring training. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So it's so important for guys to acquire big league service time. It's so important for those guys to be on the field. And, listen, I know it's going to be weird to be away from your family for 2 or 3 months, but a lot of guys have experienced that in the minor leagues, because you're not making a whole lot of money. You can't afford to have your girlfriend or your wife or your wife and children to be with you all the time in a particular city, because it costs too much. We're not making a lot of money. So some guys are used to that. And I think I heard a player, his wife just got pregnant. This guy hasn't made a whole lot of money. She's due. Her baby's due in like August or September. I'm not going to tell you the player is. Mm-hmm. And the wife and the husband go, how am I going to pay for my kid? How am I going to afford certain things for my family? So to that family, the husband, the wife, and that newborn child, they need that player to be out in the field and make money to provide for their family. So I understand it's a unique situation, but if you have a chance to play, and I know as a player, I want that opportunity to play, even if there's no fans in the stands.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're making money, you're doing your part as an entertainment business here at the same time. There's so many reasons to get it back out on the field, but of course safety is paramount for everybody, including new babies on the way and family and all that. So it's really this tough double-edged sword we're kind of working against right now.
I wish I was on that interview, man. It looked like a lot of fun.
Oh, we got into Puig. We got into him attacking the entire Padres bench. It was a good time at the real Jay Hair. But so this is my plan. I just came up with this plan while we were watching that.
So it should be good.
Just go with, hey, minor league players don't make dick for money either way. MLB, you guys take the season off. Let all the minor leaguers be MLB players. Let's play a season. Let's have fun. Watch a bunch of really bad defense and a crap ton of strikeouts. Let's do it.
Aluminum bats. So let's get all the weirdness in there. Aluminum bats. Run the bases backwards. You ever been to one of those softball tournaments for Halloween where you have to carry a pumpkin around the bases? You do that too.
Yeah.
Just get real strange with it, man. Just make it as strange as possible.
Well. That's I think we can kind of shift gears to our the next topic of what dropped today. Sorry, we're kind of distracted here. We got one of our he's been a regular here. Anthony popped into the Chad Hair. Chad Hair is probably the most realistic version or realistic. Look into what's important right now. That it's not about baseball, it's not about that. It's about getting healthy. And Anthony on Facebook, unfortunately, his father passed away. 3 weeks ago. One would assume it's from the COVID, but if not, either way, condolences from all of us here to Anthony. But the important thing he's bringing out: let's get healthy before we play a game. And
Absolutely.
Ultimately, that is what should be happening.
Yeah.
Both physically and mentally. Like a lot of people right now are struggling mentally to stay focused and stay happy and all that stuff. And we hope like these kind of things help people out. Like you can come chat with us and talk with people outside of whoever you're quarantined with. You got social media and all that fun stuff. But I know social media is it's nice, it's cool and all, but sometimes there are bad sides where you just think everybody else is having the best times of their lives, and that's all you see. It's a curated life that you see on social media. It might trick you into thinking that whatever you're doing right now isn't as good. Like, just don't think that. It's not. I hope people understand that, and mentally, I hope. I heard a really bad remark today saying like, oh, we're going to see so many divorces, coming out of this, and like I come from a divorced family, and it's not fun, and it's I don't wish that on so many people, and I hope that mentally people can get through this as best as possible.
Yeah, I would say we're all learning a whole lot about the people we spend our time with. Absolutely, or whatever. I mean, thankfully for people like me and Mrs. FRG over here, it's really not that much of a change. I'm frustrated because I don't get to go out and golf, and I don't get to go out and drink heavily with friends. And if I drink at home, I just feel like an alcoholic, so I'm not going to do that. But if you guys have problems, make sure you call the right people. We'll host a Zoom or something. I don't know. Anyways, let's bring up the spirits of everybody. We are here, like you said, Gary. We are here to be not so much of a distraction, but
another outlet.
An outlet, some form of a family, if you will. We got our regulars. I see Chris is in the stream, and Chris, our boy El Caraiza, probably popped in at an interesting time. But thanks for joining us, hype man of the show. Well, before we do get into the next segment, quickly, I mentioned at the top of the show, we're doing a giveaway for Brooke. You want to whip it out?
Well,
phrasing.
Giving
away this sweet 42 snapback cap from our friends over at Baseballism. It's got what's that on? Man, there's a whole bunch of writing on there.
Yeah, it's I think it's the Constitution on the bottom.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
We are giving that away, and I think since we have it in hand, we have a bunch of other sanitized goodies in the office that we've gotten from friends of the show, people like Mark Langell and other people that have stopped into Dieter Rule, stopped into the office. So we'll kind of send a little care package to somebody. So go to DodgersNation.com/giveaways and fill out the little question. That's not even a questionnaire. What is it?
Just do the
Give
thing.
us form. Yeah.
Do the thing.
Do the
thing.
Yeah. It's a cool hat. It commemorates Jackie Robinson. Baseballism's doing it right now. You can also buy them on the website if you want to.
No, you cannot.
Well, you can't actually buy them. You're actually right about that.
Yeah.
These actually cannot be bought out specifically on the website. But tomorrow is Jackie Robinson Day. It's a good way to
today
commemorate
if you're
it.
listening to the podcast for sure.
Or today, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the time of this live stream, it's tomorrow. So, what better way to celebrate than by signing up to try to win a beautiful Jackie Robinson snapback hat from baseballism.com.
That is a pretty cool hat. I can't enter to win it, right?
Where did you put it in the office?
No, we get it. That's pretty cool.
It's a cool hat. Somebody deserves it. It doesn't fit my dumb head, so you guys can win it.
So quickly, obviously, we've rambled on a good while here, and we appreciate everybody for hanging out and participating in this. I think we've all learned a lot here, but the biggest thing that, again, we've talked about, we've danced around for most of the show. The big news from today was Umbrella Corporation MLB edition. Brooke, enlighten us, because I didn't really get a chance to dig into it enough to understand what the hell it all means and what's going on. But apparently MLB is doing COVID or participating and helping out in COVID antibody testing.
Yeah, so I mean the basic breakdown of it is there are 27 teams that are going to participate. I don't I don't know what the parameters were or why teams are not participating, but there's 2 teams in Florida that are not participating, so I don't know what that's about. I'm sure we'll figure out what the hell that's about sooner rather than later, but I don't know who would want to be near the Marlins anyways, so I guess I get that. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe they're like, you have to have a certain number of fans in your stadium per year to qualify. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the guidelines are, but basically, apparently some researchers from Stanford in partnership with a couple different groups wanted to study a broader nationwide sample size to figure out how the COVID virus is spreading in metropolitan areas and high density areas and high population areas. And to do that, instead of just picking random people from around the country, which is a lot more difficult to do, they're like, hey, Major League Baseball is stationed all around the country. They have employees all around the country, players, coaches all around the country. If we can partner with them, then we'll be able to test some of their people, either employees, players, or coaches, whatever it might be, and we'll get a more accurate sample size. So they're looking for 10,000 people to test, apparently. Mm-hmm. The test that they're doing is like the thing where you like pinprick your finger, get a little drop of blood, and it supposedly returns results within 5 minutes. It tests for 2 different antibodies. I don't know anything about science, so all I'm going to tell you is it lets you know if you have it but aren't showing any symptoms, and it lets you know if you had it but didn't show any symptoms. So it kind of tests for all possible scenarios. Either you have it, had it, or could have it, or whatever it is. And, all it really does is it's gonna just it's gonna show medical professionals how the virus is spread, and hopefully from there you can figure out more things about it, figure out how to avoid it, how to defeat it, how to lessen it, how to really flatten the curve. It's going to be really good for medicine in general, but it will also hopefully be good for baseball. And I think even specifically in the article, it was like Major League Baseball didn't jump at this just for the chance to play baseball again. They were like, hey, the world needs to get healthy, and if we can offer up our employees who are more than willing, why not? Like, we have the biggest reach of anybody, so why not? So it's a good thing that baseball is doing. It seems like 27 of the 30 teams are all in on it. Again, I don't know why the other 3 aren't, but I'm sure that will come out later. But it's a good thing that they're doing.
Classic Miami, am I right?
Whatever, Miami.
And this has been Science Adjacent with Brooke Me 3.
Yeah. That's the best way to sum it up. If you want me to do math or science, not your guy.
Ricky Bobby Trujillo says, Doc, Me 3 coming in hot, dropping fact bombs. Alfredo says, if we're going all Resident Evil, I'd want us to have Mila Jovovich. And no, Katie drops it right. Claire Redfield. Claire's been through some shit, man. She's seen a lot. She's survived it. If not, it's gonna be Leon. But if you get into like Leon, he just they jumped the shark at some point in that series. Anyways, we digress. If we're going to be talking about jumping the shark, we are going to dig into the final segment of today's show, and excited. That's reading your reviews.
I was really hoping we weren't going to have to skip this, honestly.
Gary,
I haven't seen it in a while, so
we need some fanfare. So I've never been. I mean, obviously, I've been doing this show a year longer than Brooke or something like that. But Brooke's the OG. I think you were on the second ever episode of the show as a guest with me and the other guy. That's his legal name now. The other guy. Yeah. So a lot of these reviews are older, and we haven't really been. We've never pushed that much for reviews and ratings, even though we should, because that does help us get into a higher podcast bracket and ultimately get us more money, because we kind of need that to survive. But anyways, if you guys want, do leave us a review. Preferably if you leave us a high star, but a funny review. We will read it in future segments of this. But, Brooke, do you have the reviews open?
Oh yeah, I do.
I'm going to let you lead off.
Okay, well, I'm not going to read the good ones, because the good ones, you guys are nice. You're very straightforward about.
And we appreciate you.
Yeah, we like him. We love him. That's not to encourage you to write a bad one necessarily, but if you want to throw an inside joke into one so that we'll read it, got no problem with that, as long as you give us that high star rating. You know what I mean? There's a couple on. So I should preface this by saying there used to be one on here that was it was like Clint, was it like a half star rating or something like that? It was pretty low. It was basically
It was basically it was a 3-star rating. So it was very strange. It was calling us the worst podcast in the history of sports, and then at the end it was like, you should listen to them. And it was like, what the heck is that?
Rating.
They since I've posted that on my Twitter, that person has since deleted that. So I can only assume that person follows me on Twitter, which is great. But I'm going to go all the way back to December.
It was probably Roach.
Probably.
Throwback.
I'm going to go all the way back to December 2018, which is actually, I think, if I'm right, when I took over, right, Clint?
No, it was like a week beforehand.
Yeah, this would have been right around.
It was an orphanage.
It was right around that time, exactly. Yes. On All Star Burrito says, this is the most popular Dodger blog out there, which unfortunately is the most accessible for casual Dodger fans. So when these guys give their horrible takes on the team, which happens pretty frequently, those fans buy in immediately. I only listen because they at least provide the breaking news about the Dodgers on a consistent basis, and FRG is the funny dude. Glad that Brooke is also taking over because I couldn't stand the other guy.
So the other guy is Kevin. Kevin and I, we had a good, chemistry with this kind of stuff, but we didn't always see, exactly eye to eye on the product, and he tended not see eye to eye with a lot of people on a lot of things. But bless his heart, he's fine. We're still friends or whatever. But that just, it feels like the most accurate review of the podcast at that time. that was after a full season. That was right after the Dodgers lost to the Red Sox in the World Series too, so I could understand just weird stuff going on. So quality. We appreciate your review. We prefer the higher star, All-Star Burrito, but we appreciate you. I think the oldest one here is from Jeff Rue. Oh, wait, that's not even old. I don't understand the way this thing aggregates or whatever, puts it together. But the title of it is Hacks. And Jeff Rue says, and this was in January of 2019. He says, I'm a huge Dodger fan. Don't know how they managed to say nothing in 60 minutes. Please stop trying to be funny. It doesn't work. So number one, where do you get off? Number two, I'm not trying to be funny, bruh. Papa Bear's funny. That's what I do.
It's just a natural ability, you know what I mean?
But, sometimes we go longer than 60 minutes, sometimes shorter, and maybe we don't say anything. So we appreciate your review. Friend of the show, that guy. Pick another one.
I should also say there used to be one that said something about us doing inside jokes all the time, and that one's accurate. That's pretty spot on. That's on us. My bad.
If you follow Twitter, you get most of the jokes just because a lot of them come from there. Yeah. But I mean, you
got to listen for the whole show.
Yeah, that's the cesspool that we swim in. That's the fun part.
Back in, let's see, September 2019, Gabe Nader 101 says, haters, if you're a Dodger fan, don't listen to this crap. All they do is point out negatives. Nothing positive on this podcast. And that's 100% true, Gabe. Spot on assessment of our podcast.
They suck.
We appreciate you.
Me, when I tune into ESPN, I'm watching Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, I know. I love how much he's like, oh, LeBron's just the greatest. And I guess he's kind of like that. And he's like, and my dear friend LeBron James comes in and plays basketball the right way.
We're not homers, but we don't hate our team. I feel like we give I feel like we give a pretty fair shake of the team as in general, right? Don't we, Gary?
Jock Peterson would say that we are pretty fair people.
He would not like to listen to our
Kenley.
show.
Kenley for sure would say we'd be pretty fair people.
My biggest fear is that Kike, Kenley, and Jock all listen to this show.
They do.
And hate us.
They hate us.
Yeah. I'll ask Ross. We got to ask Ross or.
They've never listened, right? Just want to make sure.
Please say they never. All right, we'll get one more and then we'll head out because I think it's dinner time and we might get pizza over here. John Rye 9 says Dodger drool with another 3-star. If you find enjoyment listening to self-absorbed millennials with all their poorly crafted inside jokes, I think that's your inside joke.
There it is. Yeah.
This podcast was exactly made for you. Good Dodger content.
I got called a millennial. I feel I'm feeling anxiety right now. I don't know what to do.
This was before your voice was on here as much. I think at this point you were like a guest once or twice.
Oh, that's right.
When we were desperate.
Could have been a millennial, Gary.
I know. Thank God. I mean, oh darn.
So we want to make this hopefully maybe more of a recurring segment, from time to time. So do send us your 5-star reviews minimum,
Please.
as high as it goes, and leave something wacky in the comments because we really do want to read it. We care more about the comments than the ratings when we're reading these things, but. We appreciate you guys, giving us as much love as you can, as much love as you have over the years. Again, we wouldn't be doing this for as long as we have. I think we just passed the 2-year mark of Blue Heaven, so I'll give us all the clap here.
I gotta shout out Jay Roach too, because he's the only guy that I remember his name popping up, and I see his review on here as it's popping up too. So I'm sure there's a couple of you guys that have left your reviews under different names, and we appreciate you. Thank you guys. That means a lot to us.
Yeah, we got a lot of our friends, our regulars are on here. Roach obviously means a lot to the show. He's it's the same with Chris. He's hyped us up for so long. We appreciate everybody. Katie, I don't see a Katie review on here. What up with that? But Katie and Katie's mom for hanging out with us. All
Do they
you
have
people
iTunes in Australia?
I think so.
That's,
okay.
that's Kate. That's
Kate. Sorry.
Yeah.
Katie.
Wow, all Kates are the same.
My daughter's name is Katie, so it's just too many Katies. It's just a lot of Kates.
Too many Katies.
Yes.
I missed it. Sorry, I missed. There's actually some good comments here in the stream here. Alfredo says 5-star review. Bring back the other guy, Jock Peterson.
That's plus. That's
Chris
plus.
says he mentioned me. Swoon. Dodger Ryan 124 says great show as always. Thank you. Go ahead and leave that as a review. That's Blue Heaven Podcast on iTunes. Can you leave reviews on Spotify? I don't know. Look at that. Let's see.
I don't know anything.
Katie says, "I'm so sick of these people." I don't know. That was her interpretation of Stephen A. Smith.
That's a Stephen A. Smith thing right
Yeah.
there. But he goes, "Ooh."
Anyways, we appreciate you or whatever. I don't know. That's about it. But you guys can't find us on the internet machine. The same thing you're on right now. We are DodgersNation.com. Check us out on YouTube. We are at youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. We're going to try to get on there more often and do variants of content that hopefully will be fun for y'all. But subscribe to Blue Heaven on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, so many more.
Oh, so many more. I'm at BrookMe3 on Twitter and Instagram. This guy over on that side-ish or whatever is at RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Officials Dodger Nation on Instagram, at Dodgers Nation on Twitter. Want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you to Gary over there on the buttons over there. Clint, you can give him a round of applause over there on the buttons. Right. Thank you, Gary. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you
next time. I don't know when.
Next time. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.